Morning, everyone. How are you feeling today? How y'all doing? I'm hearing from a lot of friends right now who are starting to travel a little bit more, how excited they are for spring. It's been raining a lot here in Windsor, and the rain here is actually to me, it's pretty fun. It's pretty exciting. I just love the rain here. It's very rejuvenating. I had this talk yesterday with a client, just the different rains you can get in different cities. I know that in Hawaii they have this one rain that is very it's like a mist. Very I've had the joy of experiencing it every time I've been there where it's raining but you don't get wet. It's just a beautiful gentle rain. It's just really cool. Today I was going to talk about something different altogether. Um, kind of like I was going to talk about VO stars, which I think I'm going to push it back to next week. This week was interesting. Some things came up, not necessarily my personal life per se, but it came up in an email thread, a big one in vision therapy. Those watching this video who are on that list will know exactly what I'm talking about. It was interesting. No judging, it was just interesting. One of the concepts taught to me by some great leaders in vision therapy was the concept of grasping and letting go. And Bob saying it really made me aware of that. And what I mean by that is vision, really, obviously, and yet grasping and letting go. How important is that? When we think about grasping, letting go, we think of hands, I think. Picking things up, letting things go. A month ago, right actually 10 minutes before the eclipse peaked in this area, I was home with my girls, just to have that little moment before I raced back for my last patient of the day, just to kind of experience the eclipse together. It wasn't necessarily a family thing, but I had a gap. A lot of patients were canceling their appointments during the eclipse. Yeah, again, everyone wanted to enjoy it the way they needed to or wanted to, which is really cool. There was something that happened right before the eclipse, 10 minutes before, and I had basically my hand. I needed to get to the clinic. I was bleeding really well. Lizzie saw it, and yeah, it was interesting. I went to my whole premise was, man, I don't know if I have time to go right now. I want to see my patient. When you are cut open, you don't think properly. How about that? So, in my mind was, I want to go to the clinic, but it usually takes, what, 30, 40 minutes of waiting in the clinic. Would I have enough time to go in and get stitches and so on? In my head, here's what I pictured. I'm going to pull into the parking lot right in time for the eclipse, and there's going to be 50 people with glasses on staring upwards at the sun. I'm going to walk right through, and there'll be no one in the waiting area. I pulled up into the parking lot. There was about 50 people gathered outside with the sunglasses on, or not sunglasses, but the eclipse glasses on, staring upwards. I walked through them into the clinic, and they just let me go right in. It was really cool. There was no waiting. In that next week, I with I had to get stitches basically, and every time I moved too much, you could feel a pull. It would open a little bit and so on, and it was hard to pick things up properly. It was hard to grip a pencil properly without feeling pain, but not like terrible pain, but just an awareness, a reminder that, hey, I have stitches. We had gone to, me and Sarah, as you know, went to Orlando that week, and I also still had stitches on. It just didn't fully heal, so they said leave it in and you take it out in Orlando by yourself. And so we went to Orlando, and every time, same thing. It was much better, but it was still a nice reminder picking things up with that hand, and I'm right handed. It was just a reminder. Holding things, letting things go, just moving that hand was different. Grasping, letting go. When Bob taught this to me, it was obviously in terms of vision. How do you pick things up with your vision, and how do you let things go? And one of my interpretations on a level of that is, how do you, when you pick things up, make it clear? What are you picking up with your vision? When I look far, I can see my diploma certificates on the wall. Can I pick it up, the clarity? And if I switch positions, can I let go and then pick up a new thing to focus on, whether it's this screen or paper, notes? The difference of letting go and then grasping again. Vision. If we take that to a higher level, if vision, and you guys know the mind body connection, you guys know I kind of preach about that. And eyes and brain, because they're connected, they're the same, really. Eyes are part of the brain. If we struggle in picking things up with our vision and letting it go, and picking things up and letting it go, what about our vision internally? What about the internal vision that we have, what we call visualization? Do we have a hard time picking things up and forming that clarity in thought? Or do we struggle with letting things go so much so that we can't help but hold on to it? We hold on to a lot of thoughts. Myself, there's certain things I've worked on in life where you would think back in the past, man, that really pissed me off, or why did they say that? And it's like, that was years ago. Why don't you let that go? And maybe you're so good at just grasping. Whether we're good at grasping and letting go in the visual aspect, clarity, when you think about a chalkboard, you have to look far, let go, and then re-grasp, and then let go of that, and then work a little harder to write it down in your notebook when you're looking at the desk. Grasping, letting go. Thinking, again, whether it's a thought out in the past or even forming the thought when you're trying to work through a problem, whether in a group or by yourself, grasping, letting go. Maybe this plan didn't work. Can you let that go and try a different way and grasp a new concept and bring that in? One thing in the grasping and letting go that sometimes gets a little bit overlooked, or at least I try not to, is the holding. Do we struggle with what we hold on to? Well, sure, we can work on picking things up and letting it go, whether it's vision, hands, thinking. Do we have a hard time holding on to that thought? I mean, think about it. If I can get something clear, but I have a hard time holding it in clarity, would it help me? Would it be easier for me just to kind of be distracted and find something else to focus on? And it's hard to hold that, so I find something else. I find something else, and my attention is lost, or I have trouble keeping my focus. Holding. And again, I kind of alluded to it earlier. Do we struggle so well with holding that we actually have a hard time still with letting go? We hold on. Sometimes it's good to switch tasks. Maybe the task is done, and yet we have a hard time letting that go because we're working on it so much we want it to be perfect. Or maybe right now is not the time to work on that task, and it's probably best to just let it go and shift attention to something else and come back to it for another time when it may be more appropriate. And do we have a hard time with that? Whether it's a project that right now you're just hitting that little obstacle, that wall, whether it's leisure and we're having a hard time letting go of that leisure, whether it's video games or just distractions in general, being on the phone, do we have a hard time letting that go? If any of this resonates with you, makes sense, or you can kind of see yourself doing this, or maybe somebody else that you know, again, this is all part of the vision process. When I talk about one thing, it's not just this is what we're working on. It's all of us. This is all part of when parents ask me what does vision therapy do? How do you treat this, whatever diagnosis, symptom? Maybe not symptom, but the diagnosis. The easy answer and the real answer is we're just trying to help them see the best that they are able to. That flexibility, that control, and whether control means letting go of some or grabbing more, letting go and grasping, holding on. If any of this resonates, like I said, leave a message, connect with us, reach out. This is stuff that I am passionate about. I can talk about this for hours. It's easy. There's a question posed to me: what topics do you seem to gravitate to, or that do you get all of a sudden lit up, excited about talking? This is one of them. Not the grasping and letting go per se, exactly. Obviously, yes. Vision. And so much so that I've been finding lately what I do for coaching and what I do in optometry, it's so intertwined. Hey guys, I get to live the life I want, and me realizing that, having that grasp of that clarity, it's really cool being able to switch gears like that. Thank you. Anyways, leave a message. I'd love to hear from you guys. Have a nice day, and again, I'll see you next week. Bye guys.